Hello my lovely students, welcome back to our new science video. Today we're gonna start Unit 2, Motion. And the first concept in this unit is talking about starting and stopping. So let's start. How do you know an object is moving? Look at these pictures. The girl, the man, the ball, and his car change their possessions from one place to another. That's how we know that they are moving. So I can tell that they are in motion state. Motion means movement. Look at this tree. Does it move from one place to another? Can it change its possession? Of course no. So, in this case, I can tell that the tree in this static state. Static means stopping. So, the first term we have in this term is called motion. And motion, it's any change in the possession of the object relative or compared to a fixed point. And static means stopping object. Now we're gonna know what made these objects move or stop. Look at these pictures. Look at the first one. Can you tell what made the door open or move? Of course, the boy is trying to push the door to open it. In the second picture, can you tell what made the ball move? When the player pushes it, the ball moves. In the third picture, can you tell what made the bag move? When the boy pulls the bag, it moves. What about number 4? Super! We can move the drawer, open it or close it by pushing or pulling. So, to let any object move, we should give it force or power. And this force or this power in form of pushing or pulling. Well, look at this picture. Can you tell what made the apple move downward? Actually, have you ever asked yourself why do objects go down when they fall? Our Earth has kind of force called gravity. Gravity is kind of force that pulls objects down to the earth. So, what's meant by force? Force, as we said before, it's kind of power, and this power exists in form of pushing or pulling. So, force is a push or pull that is applied to an object, causes it to change its possession from one place to another. Look at this picture. Can you tell what makes the leaves of palm trees move? Super! The air or wind can move objects as the leaves of a tree moves by the wind blowing. Look at these two pictures. In the first picture, only one man gives pushing force to the car to let it move. However, in the second picture, 3 men give pushing force to the car to move. What do you think? In which case will the car move for long distance and with higher speed? Of course, the second picture. When the force acting on moving object increases or gets bigger, the speed and distance increases either. As it's shown either that the object moves in the same direction of a force applied to it. So, the force causes some things. It causes movement, the object or motion of the object, and of course it can stop it. Force changes the speed of the object. By increasing the force, the speed of the object increases. Force either changes the direction. By using the force or power, by pulling or pushing objects, we can change the direction of the objects. Look at this picture. As it's shown in this game, tug of war, the boy is pulling the rope trying to win, and the girl is pulling the rope either. But there is no winner here, because the force of the boy equals the force of the girl. So, the rope in this case stops. But look at the second picture. As you can see, the two teams are pulling the rope, trying to win. But the force of the two teams isn't equal. So, the team that has greater force won this game. So, if the two teams are pulling the rope with equal forces, so the forces that act on the rope is balanced, or same amount of force. And rope in this case will not move, it will stop. But if one team is pulling the rope with greater force, so the force that acts on the rope is unbalanced force. So, the balanced force, it happens when the two forces is equal to each other. But unbalanced force happens when the two forces aren't equal to each other. In balanced force, do you think that there will be any motion? Of course no. But in unbalanced force, do you think there will be any motion? Yeah, super, yes. And the motion or movement goes to the greater force. If we have small and large trucks, if an equal pushing force is applied on both of them, which one moves for longer distance? Can you tell? Amazing! Of course the smallest one. Do you know why? When equal pushing force acts on small and big objects, the small truck moves longer distance than the big truck, because the big truck needs bigger force. Look at these pictures, then tell me, what do you think? Does the car move faster than the bicycle? Of course it does. You know why? Because the car moves by the force of the engine, which exists in the front of the car. But the bicycle moves by the force of the man. And the force which is produced from the engine is greater than that is produced from the man. But what if we have two vehicles moved by engine, such as truck and airplane? Which vehicle moves faster, truck or jet airplane, and tell me why? Of course the airplane. You know why? Because the engines of a jet airplane are much more powerful than the engine in a truck. That's why the jet airplane moves faster. What do you think? What would happen if a jet engine is put on a normal truck? Look at this truck. This kind of truck is called Shockwave truck. Shockwave truck is fitted with 3 jet engines. It can reach speeds of more than 500 kilometers per hour, which is 5 times faster than trucks or normal trucks. To stop this kind of trucks, the truck's engineers installed 3 parachutes that help slow down the truck's speed quickly by pulling force. Look at this video. Amazing, right? This girl moved the cart by strapping fire extinguisher onto it. Look at this picture. That man trying to move his chair by using fire extinguisher only. Actually, as they released air from the fire extinguishers, the cart and the chair begins to roll and rushes forward. And by increasing the number of fire extinguishers, the air released increases either. So, the cart's speed increases and moves for longer distance. We have learned how do objects move: by pushing, pulling, by the force of the wind, by gravity, or by using engines, or even by using the power of fire extinguisher. But now we're gonna know how does the object in motion state stop or change to static state. Look at this picture. Can you tell what made the car stop? Super! The ball represents as another force that made it stop. Look at the second picture. Can you tell what made the ball stop? Super! This guy stopped it by using his leg, which is considered as another force that let the motion or movement object stop. So, what do you think? Do stopping the car and stopping the ball considered as balanced or unbalanced force? Can you remember the difference between balanced and unbalanced force? In balanced force, the two forces are equal to each other, so the object stops. But in unbalanced force, the two forces aren't equal to each other. We have greater force in this case, so the object keeps moving. So, what do you think? What's your answer? Do stopping the car and stopping the ball considered as balanced or unbalanced force? Of course, super! It's balanced force, because the other force here stopped the object, and when the object stops, so it's balanced force. The two forces here, the force of the car and the force of the wall, are equal, so the object stops. In the second picture, the force of the moving ball and the force of the guy's leg also equal to each other, so the ball stops. Okay, look at the direction of the car movement. It moves in this direction. What about the wall? The wall wants to stop the force of the car or the motion of the car. So what do you think? The wall will be in the same direction or opposite direction? Of course, opposite direction. The same happened with the ball and the guy. The ball moves in this direction and the guy stopped the ball in the other or opposite direction. So, to stop the motion of objects, you should use another equal force, and this force applies or acts on the opposite direction of the motion. The moving objects only stop when a force of the same amount or equal is applied to them in the opposite direction from which they are moving. Look at this picture. When you kick the ball, can you tell what will happen? What do you think? Will the ball move for long distance without stopping, or will the ball stop after a while? Of course it will stop. But the question is, why does the ball move slowly and stop although there is no obstacle to stop it? Look at the second picture. When you push the car, what do you think? Will the car move forever or will it stop after a while? Of course it will stop. But the question is, why does the car roll slowly and stop when this boy stops pushing it? Look at the last picture. What do you think? What made the leaves fall slowly like this? Actually, we have kind of force called friction force. This force exists between any two touching objects, such as two solids like the ball and the ground, or the car and the ground, or could exist between one solid object and the air, and in this case it's known as air resistance. So, the friction force which exists between the ball and the ground slows the ball or the motion of the ball down, and then it makes it stop. The friction force between the car and the ground slows its motion down, then it makes it stop. The force or the friction force between the leaves and the air makes the motion of the leaves slow down, and then it makes it stop. We have talked before about stopping object, and we said to stop object you need another equal force or balanced force to let the object stop. Actually, all of you follow me in the first picture. This is the direction of the ball motion. So, the friction force between the ball and the ground, what do you think? It acts in the same direction or opposite direction? Of course, opposite direction. That's how the motion of the ball stops. The same happened in the second picture. This is the direction of the car motion. So, the friction force between car and the ground, what do you think? Will it act in the same direction or the opposite direction? Of course it will act in the opposite direction. That's what made the car stop. The same happened in the last picture. This is the direction of the falling leaves or moving leaves. What do you think? The friction or air resistance between the leaves and the air, will it act in the same direction or opposite direction? Opposite direction, trying to stop the motion of these objects. So, from here, can you tell what's meant by or what is the friction force? So, what's meant by friction force? As we said before, that friction force is kind of force exists between two touching objects, such as the force between the couch and the ground. This kind of force is trying to slow the motion of objects down till it stops. And we said that this kind of force acts or applied in the opposite direction of the object's motion. So, here is the motion or the direction of the couch motion, and here's the direction of the friction force. So, friction force is a force between two surfaces or objects when they touch each other. And we said that friction force acts in opposite direction of movement trying to stop its motion. So, friction force opposes the motion of objects. In this picture, when this player kicks the ball moves through the air. We said that there is kind of friction force between the ball and the air, and it's known as air resistance. So, air resistance, it's a type of friction force happens when a solid object touches air. And of course, this kind of friction force either opposes moving objects. Now let's talk about launching a satellite. Do you know how to launch a satellite outside the Earth? Look at this picture. This picture shows you how do we launch a satellite. Every new satellite is carried into space by a rocket. Before launch, the rocket stands motionless or without motion on its launch pad. During launch, the rocket applies a force and it can move away from Earth. This kind of force is unbalanced force. Once a rocket is in space, it can release a satellite into its orbit. The satellite can keep traveling at the same speed for hundreds of years because there is no friction force out there. Look at this picture. We said before, to let any stopping object move, you should give this object some force in form of pushing or pulling. But we said before, to make any effort, you should have energy. If you have enough energy, you will be able to give enough force or pushing force to let the car move. When the car moves, it means that the car made work. So, if you have enough energy, and we said before that energy means the ability to do work, you can give enough force or you can exert enough force to let the object move or to complete the work in form of moving car. So, what's the relation between energy, force, and work? As we said before, that energy is the ability to do work, and energy gives force that lets you finish the work. So, force here transfers energy from one object to another. When the object moves a distance, so there is work done. When the object doesn't move a distance, so there is no work done. So from here I can tell that work is the energy transferred by force that is used to move an object. I hope you got this part. Thank you for listening.